Hello everybody, the Destroyer here, and welcome back to another cast of the Rise of the Witch King, patch 2.02, version 5.0.1. Today we have another cast from the October 2015 Rise of the Pumpking tournament. And of course this is round 2, game 2 of Eonwe versus S.P.Q.R. And it looks like S.P.Q.R is Elves this time, and Eonwe is Angmar. And they are in opposite corners of the map from their last game. This game also being on Spooky Fords, the custom map made for this tournament. So, it is a reskin of Fords of Horizon 2, of course, in case you didn't know. But yeah, this is game 2, and of course, if you didn't watch game 1 first, I was just watching game 1 first. It was fairly quick, though. Game 1 was taken by S.P.Q.R, I believe. Yes, definitely. He won as dwarves against the men, so we'll see who comes out victorious in Game 2. Of course, S.P.Q.R wins Game 2, he will advance to the next round. If Eonwe wins, they will have to play Game 3. So we'll see if that's the case. Eonwe going for a Hall of the King's Men here. He's got 3 mills. Continue to get his farm production up, his mill production. Resource buildings, whatever you want to call it. We got a barracks with Lordian Warrior start for S.P.Q.R. So we'll see how that works out for him. And he's going to be getting a melon tree there. So we have a spam team versus not so spam team, but Elves of course are a powerhouse. So we'll see if they have what it takes to keep up with Angmar, which can be difficult to do. He'll definitely need some Lorien archers, I would imagine, to deal with all this good and bad orc spam, but he does have to, as he's getting there, he does have to keep his opponent on his toes, though, which is why he is sitting up some Lorien warriors to deal with some farms. Farm harassment is pretty key. You won't see a pro player not harassing farms, because really that is very important in this game. If you don't take out your opponent's economy or reduce it somewhat, then you will be facing a fairly larger army than you would be normally. Or otherwise, I should say. So it's definitely key to try and cripple your opponent's economy. Let's see what people have chosen here for powers. Eonwe has chosen a rally call, war chant rather. I mean, S.P.Q.R has chosen rally call. Their respective powers for their factions. Same thing, really, though. Just different name. Different icon, different thing. Theme, I guess you can call it. We have a green pasture being thrown up by S.P.Q.R. So he's going to look for Rivendell Lancers to deal with some of these orc spams, which is not a bad call. It's a bit expensive. Rivendell Lancers are 500, I believe. 500 resources, which is not cheap. You will need to try and keep them alive as well. I don't know if you want the Lancers up here in front. The Mithlond Sentries, rather. Actually, they seem decently effective against the Gundabad Warriors, sadly enough. I guess they're just that crappy because they're a spam team. I guess it's fair. And then we have Rudar Axe Throwers being brought out as well by Eonwe. Looking to utilize his ranged abilities from behind his orcs. S.P.Q.R does have a small defense force, but not a huge one. Oh, there you go. He's got these guys regrouping, and now he has just as many battalions, but his battalions are stronger, of course. He just needs to keep his archers out of harm's way. Fortunately, these archers got caught out of position, and looks like half of the battalion's already dead before he even gets to react. War chant being thrown down, and rally call on their teams here. Looks like the elves are actually being overpowered a bit. Unfortunately, S.P.Q.R really got his archers out of position. They got cut down very fast. But it looks like the Gundabad Warriors are falling fairly quickly to the Lorien Warriors and Mithlond Sentries, which is good for him. And there is still a battalion of Lorien archers alive. This battalion is also alive. This is technically a battalion. If he gets a Mirror of Galadriel or they get to level 2, they will start healing up. So that would be very useful indeed. And of course he has Rivendell Lancers on the field now to help deal with most of this. He just has to be careful. Nice stop right before he trampled these Rudar Spearmen. Would have been bad news for him. As you would expect, horse is not very good against pikes, turns out. That is their rock, paper, scissors counter, so he does not want to run into those by all means. Ooh, unfortunately he does run through those ones. While doing a lot of damage, he did lose a lot of his lancers, almost the whole battalion actually. So I would not say that was a worthy run through. He's being very aggressive with his cavalry against these Rudar spearmen, which may prove fatal for them. He is throwing down a well though, so even though this guy almost died, he could heal this back up and save himself another 500 resources. Fortunately, S.P.Q.R will lose this Malentry. And that Malentry. S.P.Q.R is in a lot of trouble here. Eonwe is doing a great job of keeping his opponent on his toes. And this is what I was talking about. You really have to be all over the place to keep up with the spam team. Especially one like Angmar, who has pretty powerful spam, honestly. Good and bad orcs are very strong, and axe throwers do a lot of damage. And Rudar spearmen even can be very, very dangerous. Unfortunately, S.P.Q.R's economy has probably got to be suffering right now. We have 374 of 500 command points used for Eonwe, and we have 293 of 400 for S.P.Q.R. Up to 450 now, so he is 50 behind his opponent at the current moment. So he is starting to get his economy back on track. And his command point limit up again, so he can start building more men. Still has a fair amount of lancers running around. He actually left a Thrall Master alive there. Although the Thrall Master itself doesn't really do much, so it's not like you have to worry about it. And maybe S.P.Q.R. Eonwe probably doesn't even realize it's there. Maybe it'll start regenerating guys, who knows. We have a lot of spam over here. Looks like the Elven Builder canceling his building there. Actually, he might get taken out as well. Although he goes to the safety of the Cave Troll. Nice Fell Wind and War Chant there. That's going to take a lot of the Elves' lives here. S.P.Q.R is going to lose a lot of forces. And he does decide to do a tactical retreat there, which is a smart play because he will not win that battle. Unfortunately, that guy taken out before he actually got to summon his guys. It's unfortunate. We do have a Troll and Wolf Den being thrown down by Eonwe. He's utilizing wolves, dire wolves. You can also equip them with spike collars, which significantly reduces damage taken. Although it doesn't really need to do that. As you see, those are pretty fast and effective. They are good against pikemen. But of course, they're still good against archers as well. Anything really is good against archers because archers are weak defensively. But they're mainly good against pikemen. That is what they're used to counter. And they will help catch the Rivendell Lancers as well a little bit. Kind of like the Spiderlings for Goblins, or the Wargs for Isengard. They can help with these. They don't really directly counter them, but they do help catch them and they can chase them down. But in a direct one-on-one fight, these Rivendell Lancers should tear these wolves apart, in theory. I say that, but it doesn't really look like it's happening, does it? I guess it kind of does. Yeah, the Lancers are still winning it there. By far. S.P.Q.R is starting to get a fair amount of guys in the field here. Is that well there? Yeah, it is. It's just got that little shadow bug. I hate that. S.P.Q.R, or not S.P.Q.R, Eonwe getting more men on the field. Continuing to pump out thralls, not opting to go for any level 2 shenanigans with his Hall as the King's Men. Just opting to go for direwolves and spam, which is not a bad choice. It still works. He seems to be making it work, I'd say. PowerPoint wise, we're up to Fellwind, War Chant, and 6 power points for Eonwe. We're sitting at 340 of 700 now. And S.P.Q.R is sitting at 500, 475, so Angmar definitely doing much better in the economy front. And we have Heal, Rally Call, and 2 power points for S.P.Q.R. So Eonwe is definitely ahead on all fronts here. Not by a ton, but he is a little bit ahead in power points and farms. So S.P.Q.R is going to have to do a bit of work here to bring his opponent back down to size. I do like the use of the direwolves, though. It's a unit you don't see used too often, but they can be very useful supplementing your army. I highly approve. I hate it when there's a unit that just doesn't get used at all. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people won't use direwolves just because why, but they do have a use. It's just you gotta find it and utilize it. Unfortunately, the Lancers are in the back of Eonwe's base, and they're going to take out that mill pretty easily. Meanwhile, the Elven army over here is getting taken out pretty easily. Lots of Axors, which easily deal with these Lorien archers. We're shooting away at the spam, but really not getting a whole lot done, as they're just spam units. It's definitely a lot more costly to lose a Lorien archer than it is a Rudar spearman. I guess it's not a lot, is it? How much is a Rudar spearman? Like 50? 250 total? An archer is 300, I believe. 288. Oh yes, he has a statue, but they are 300. And it looks like he has thrown out, of course, a statue there. He's got a second well also, which does double the replenishment rate, I believe, of the healing. Unit healing, battalion replenishment is what I'm trying to get at. That's what it does. If you stack wells on top of each other, I think you can have 4 near each other that will benefit you to some extent. It won't heal your guys 4 times as quick, but it will heal the battalions 4 times as quick, I believe. But don't quote me on that. That's loose, loose facts. S.P.Q.R has a sizable resistant force there. As you see, these are healing up very quickly because of that feature I was just talking about there. We have a Glorfindel from S.P.Q.R, and of course we had a Waldar from Eonwe. Waldar, of course, is excellent for what he's going for as a hero, because he does give leadership to the Rudar units. Rudar units being the Axors and Pikemen that he's been utilizing quite heavily. Practically exclusively, I would say. And of course, he does get the summon Hillman ability, which is very useful as well. It's actually extremely useful. I love it. And of course, Glorfindel is no slouch either. His Blade of Purity makes him quite the beast. And of course, he is on a mount. Able to get around, deal with a lot of things very easily. And of course, he gets Wind Rider, which gives him speed, armor buff, and Starlight, which heals guys around him and such. Looks like Angmar is doing a fair bit of damage here, but I think in the end he will probably fall here. Somebody's getting debuffed. It's because of the white. Where's that white come from? Oh, he had summoned whites, okay. I didn't actually see that happen. Eonwe summoned whites there. And he does have 875 command point limit at the top. As where S.P.Q.R is sitting at 550, so... And we're still doing a lot better on the economy front. S.P.Q.R is not really able to go harass his opponents. That's the problem. Because Angmar is so easily spammable and able to send guys all over the place. S.P.Q.R is on the defensive quite often, making it difficult for him to actually deal with that. Looks like S.P.Q.R is leading an expedition of Lancers with Glorfindel to go harass a few of these farms. Or mills, if you want to call them by their proper name. Meanwhile, Eonwe's pushing across the ford with a sizable force of Rudar units. They will encounter resistance by the Elven warriors and archers. Most of them being Lorien warriors. He's thrown down to Elven wood. That, of course, will give him a huge buff if they fight on that land. He does want to stay on that, though. There would be no point in throwing that down and leaving it. It would be silly. There's Waldar. Let's try and click on him. There we go. Of course, he gives the leadership to Hillman and the 50% experience gain, which is always nice. And then he gets a gain resources for kills by Rudar units. Also very useful. As you see, he's just a complete Rudar hero. That's what he is. It's like a lot of the Lancers are taken out here by a lot of these pikes. He does manage to take a few mills, but he does lose a few guys in the process. Glorfindel getting out of there. And these Lancers also getting out of there. A lot of pointy, sharp sticks being thrown, or pointed in their direction, so you don't want to stick around too long. Of course, once Waldar gets level 5, he gets summoned Hillman. He could use that to summon that into the archer line of the Elves, which would be Disastrous, of course. Doesn't look like S.P.Q.R is anywhere near getting Mirkwoods, so Eonwe does not have to worry about that. That will be a huge blessing for him, really. Believe me, Mirkwoods are not fun to deal with. But actually, this team is pretty well equipped to deal with Mirkwoods, I'd say. That Fell Wind ability that you saw there, very useful for dealing with archers. As it just throw them into your army, and then you could just slaughter them. Since they're all being benefited by the old leadership buff, it is very dangerous. We do have a Haldir. Too many H heroes. Haldir. Out for the Elves here. Haldir's a good choice. He's pretty good against these spam units because he can pretty much one-shot them, and he attacks pretty quickly. He's a ranger hero as well, and he does get leadership at later levels, which of course will be very useful. Unfortunately, there's a blight being thrown down, all these guys being turned to whites. Chain reaction of whites, unfortunately. And that might be a bad thing for S.P.Q.R. Definitely is a bad thing. S.P.Q.R is going to take a lot of damage here. He does have his barracks down here, so he's not out of the game yet. And of course he does have his Lancer that's being built out of here, but there is a lot of Rudar units in conjunction with the whites here. Looks like Haldir is fighting a few of the whites himself. And of course anything standing on this land will be taking damage over time from the enemy. Oh, builder being picked off there. That's a loss for S.P.Q.R that he surely didn't want to have. Looks like he did use the summon hillmen. Are these summoned? They are. At least one of them is. At level 5 he only summons like 1 battalion or 2 battalions. I think it's just 1 battalion. At later levels he summons like 4, so it's very, very good. Earlier on it's just a little bit of a supplement to your army, which doesn't make a huge difference, but sometimes it does, because you can put them where you want, for the most part. S.P.Q.R losing a lot of his farms, a lot of his buildings. Even the dire wolves joining in the action. They don't do a ton of damage to the buildings, but they will take it down with if they're left unchecked, which they are quite so. You could also send the dire wolves after the elven builder as well, if it was not building anything, because they can catch them quite easily. These dire wolves are fairly fast. Eonwe being very aggressive, just keeping the spam up, and eventually he will overwhelm his opponent. Looks like Eonwe is actually upgraded to Black Numenorians as his swordsman. Of course, one of the strongest swordsmen in the game. So that will be great for him. So really the only thing keeping the elves alive is their heroes, and probably this tower. Not good. Things are definitely looking bleak for S.P.Q.R at this match. And there's the white summon once again. Ooh. Glorfindel falls, unfortunately. Haldir running for his life. Rudar units of Eonwe working down this watchtower expansion. Trying to nullify as much damage as possible so he can start taking down the fort here. And of course these lancers aren't going to be very useful because most of this army is actually Rudar spearmen. And there you go, S.P.Q.R has conceded. And Eonwe takes game 2. So there you go. A good match, actually. Eonwe showing the might of Angmar spam against the Elves. And he did quite well. Of course, both players did quite well, but Eonwe took the match. And we'll play to him. So, since he won that match, that is 1-1. And of course, we'll have to have a game 3 played, which I will cast very shortly, and you will be seeing as well very shortly, I would imagine, since it'll be out on the same day, of course. So, I will see you guys in game 3, so I'll see you guys next time.